Hello, everyone. Welcome to Transformational Talks with Coach BJ. Come on in to this week's live. I'm going to wait to have a few people come in. Come on in the room. And I'm going to go ahead and get set up here. It's going to be a different platform tonight. So as you guys are coming in, go ahead and comment and let me know that you guys are watching. And you can go ahead and let me know what information you're looking to get out of this talk tonight. Everybody is aware that this talk is on fear and uncertainty. So how can we face that head on and not get stuck? So come on in, go ahead and share if you so desire. Again, thank you guys for joining me tonight. I can't wait to discuss this topic. So again, let me know that you are here and you are joining. Hi, Demetria. Thank you for joining me tonight. Hi, Shanae. Thank you for coming in. It's so good to see you on here tonight as well. Thank you for joining. Again, go ahead and share, and I'm going to go ahead and get started and just kind of give a little, a bit of information as we go ahead and get started. So as I let everybody know, these talks are very short. I understand that, a lot of people between work and other platforms that you guys are inundated with information. So I try to keep these talks anywhere from 20 minutes or less. This talk tonight should be anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. And I try to leave a good 10 minutes to have any, questions answered, address any comments that you guys may have. So feel free during the talk to post any questions or any comments you would like to share with me as we go along. Hi Z, thank you for joining. I see that you're in. Thank you so much for joining. And so some of the other things I like to share at the beginning of the talk is that, transformational talks with Coach BJ, again, is based on my perspective, my experiences, my education, and my research that I do on various topics. It could be through client interactions that I have, been a life coach. So that's what this is about. So again, this is for informational purposes only. I'm not saying what I'm communicating is the only way, but again, it's from my perspective, and it's just another way to look at the information that I'll be sharing tonight. So again, those who are still coming on, thank you for joining. We're going to get started. I'm just going over a few things that I normally go over at the beginning of my talks. Another thing I would like to let you guys know is that I bring the questions and contents to these talks. So it's up to you to know the answers that lie within you, basically based on your journey, based on your experiences that you guys go through. So again, we all receive information and we all take information differently. So again, I bring the questions and the content to spark the conversation. So once we do that, you just look within you and find out, how does this talk apply to you? So again, thank you guys who are coming on and joining. And the last thing before we get into our topic is bring out your journals and notebooks. There's, a few tips that I'll be sharing. There may be some things that's on the banner and the screen you may see that I put up, or there may be some things that I just communicate that you may want to write down. So for those who've been joining me since I've started these talks in August are aware, to go ahead and bring your journals and notebooks, because I definitely want you to take away some questions, some information, and some tools that's going to help you move forward in this area. So tonight's topic, as you guys already know, is don't let fear and uncertainty keep you stuck. So I'm so excited to get into this topic. It is something that we all deal with in one form or another. And I always like to start and end these talks with a quote. So I'll go ahead and put that quote up on the board to let you know what that is. So the opening quote is, "Fears are nothing more than a state of mind." And that's by Napoleon Hill. Again, is nothing but a state of mind. So I want to start off with, before we even get into the example, because I'm actually going to use an actual scenario tonight that all of us, if you haven't gone through it, you will go through it at some point in your life, I'm sure, if you keep living long enough. So before we get into the scenario, I want you to go ahead and prepare to write down the first. So one of the things about fear and uncertainty is that you want to, first of all, examine the fear. So that's what I want you to write down first. Examine the fear itself. And I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have seen the acronym FEAR as stated, false experience appearing real. And I wanted to put that out there because I want you to really be able to evaluate whenever you're faced with a challenging situation. You have to really understand and know, is the situation really a fearful situation, or is your life truly being threatened? And I know you can hear my girls in the background, but that's just what it is. So I'm live, just like last time. But again, examine the fear. And so again, you want to know if the fear is a false experience appearing real, or is your life truly being threatened? So I want you to write that down, because that's the first thing that I want you to think about when you're faced with a situation. So now I want to look at the example that I'm going to use tonight. So the example I'm going to use is fearing you may lose your job. So in fearing you may lose your job, of course, there's many things that come with that. So I'm just going to start off with kind of the first thoughts, and then I'm going to take you through a typical process that happens that we go through. But then I'm going to give you some tips on how you should kind of react in it instead, right? So again, fearing you may lose your job. So here's the first thing, that typically happens. And I've went through it myself, being in corporate America for 19 and a half years. So I went through this same scenario. So I'm very well familiar with this. And I know a lot of people, a lot of friends and people I previously worked with are going through this same situation right now. So hopefully, if, some of those people are watching that, hopefully they can take these tips and really utilize it. Instead of fearing the inevitable, correct? So again, fearing you may lose your job. So first it starts with the rumor mill. So we have the rumor mill of, people talking about, I heard it was going to be layoffs. Did you hear it? And then a rumor mill starts, right? And then you may get the infamous, communication from your leadership team, saying either they want to have a meeting, or they may send a blanket email just kind of stating, hey, we need to have a conversation or a meeting. Let's meet with the team. But of course, they never really give you the topic. So I'm just telling you kind of a typical scenario that happens, right? So the unfortunate thing about those two things, before I get into the process, is that when you first think about the fear and what could possibly happen, we immediately go into a stress mode, a panic mode, that immediately impacts our health. And that's something that we really don't want, right? We don't want the stress, the anxiety to immediately impact our health, our emotional health, our physical health in so many different ways. And I'll get into that a little bit more in a few minutes. But that's what the worst part about fear and uncertainty is. It goes straight from our, the situations go straight from our head, like we get the news, and then everything else, the stress and everything else starts to impact our health, okay? So again, let's walk through the typical process of what happens, okay? So first, this is the actual situation now. So your manager meet with the team and says, the rumors are true. We will have to lay some people off, and there's going to be more details to come, so they kind of leave it at that or whatever. So, they don't necessarily tell you, all the information at one time, but they just kind of give you that blanket statement. Yes, there aren't going to be layoffs. We're not sure, if you're going to be impacted or not, so they go through that conversation. And then, the second thing you do is what? We begin to think about all of the scenarios in our imagination that could be the absolute worst outcome. So once we have that conversation, because we don't have any other information, we just say, could it be me? I wonder if we've been doing a good job in our department. We just start thinking about every possible worst case scenario. I think I'm going to lose my job. And, okay, how am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to do this and that? We start thinking about all of these things. And then again, as I said, that's when the worst part of it hits, right? The fear and uncertainty brings about stress, anxiety, physical sickness, panic attacks. I mean, some people lose their appetite. Some people increase their appetite. It just depends on how you handle news and how do you handle what's going on with you. So a lot of times when I say increase appetite, we tend to maybe emotionally eat. We may end up eating ice cream, we may end up eating, whatever the case may be. So we go through this situation. And I'm just saying we because until I learned what I'm about to share with you next, I used to experience this same situation. I used to think about every worst case scenario in the book of what could happen, not just about a job, but any situation that brings about fear, any situation that brings about anxiety or anything or worry. I automatically go into stress and fear mode, right? That's what I used to do, right? Before I realized that I had to take a look at it and say, why am I stressing? Why am I having a panic attack and anxiety about a situation that hasn't happened yet, right? Or may not even happen at all. So that's when a light bulb went off for me to say, wow, I'm stressing about something that I don't even know that's going to happen. And when I began to look back over various situations in my life where I feared or worried about the worst or start imagining the worst possible thing that could happen in my life, I realized that a lot of the things and the scenarios that I thought up in my head never came to pass. And so I realized that I was stressing and bringing, unnecessarily, physical and emotional health issues to myself over something that never even happened. So if you take nothing else away, this is what I want you to do. Write this down. And I'm going to probably say it again before I end this live is that stop worrying, fearing, stressing, and having anxiety over a situation that hasn't happened yet. And again, I'm giving you my own personal testimony that I used to be in that position until I realized that I shouldn't stress or do anything until the actual situation present itself. That's when you start to go into a certain mode, right? But I'm about to share 4 different steps that you can go through if time will allows for you to be able to assess. Going back to the first statement that I made, is it truly fearful? Is it truly a fearful situation? So is it a false experience appearing real? Or is this truly going to threaten my life? Right? So you'll be able to go through these 4 easy steps to really assess, okay, is this real or am I tripping? Or, is this something that can wait? Right? So, the first thing I will tell you to do is to get all the facts, right? Know your options, know the benefits, know everything. Understand, like, could this be an opportunity? Could this layoff or transition work in my favor? Instead of wondering, could it work against me? Because we always go to the negative. We always look at, we have the negative self-talk. Am I not good enough? If I get laid off, that means, I wasn't doing a good job. We just start thinking about all of these negative things versus thinking about, what could happen? Could this layoff work in my favor? Let me look at the benefits. Let me look at what they're offering, right? So again, get all the facts about the situation before you go into fear or worry mode, right? Or understand if this truly is going to be a life-threatening thing for me, right? And the next thing you want to do is, number 2, you want to pray and seek guidance from God on what to do next. Because you really could ask God and say, is this a door that is opening for me from the door that's closing? So you want to always look at it from a positive perspective. Again, so in our scenario, they said they'll give you more information later. So guess what? You have time to really sit down and really assess what's going on, right? So pray and seek for guidance and see if this is an opportunity for you to do something different, right? What is the writing on the wall for you? So seek guidance would be number 2. Number 3 would be, think about the best possible outcome for this situation. So I say that because when you look at the layoff, again, don't go for the negative, look for the positive and say, could this be an opportunity for me to really do what I really have been called to do in life? Is this an opportunity for me to open that business I've been really wanting to open for a long time? Is this an opportunity for me to go back to school to maybe get some more training or some more skills in order to do that very thing that I'm wanting to do? So start with asking yourself those questions because those are best possible outcomes of the situation, right? Or could it be that I need to stay here, right? Or, if they allow it. But think about the positive. Don't automatically think about the negative when it comes to quote unquote losing something or losing a job or fearing a certain situation. So you want to think about the best possible outcome, right? So you want to look at those things and ask yourself, could this be an opportunity? And I'm gonna give you, a scenario to say that, a lot of times we sit, in jobs that we're not happy with. And we sit there because we feel like, okay, I have to get a paycheck, I have to pay my bills. And that is definitely true. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of times we go through a job staying there 10, 15, 20 years, sometimes 30 years, and we never go to work every day feeling fulfilled. And that is a bad place and an unfortunate space to be in when you can't really wake up every day and feel like you're getting up to doing something that you've been called to do, something you want to do, or you just feel good about doing in general. So that is this number 3 really sticks to my heart. It's really important to me. And the last one is start planning for the next steps. So I'm going to give you a scenario, what I mean by that. So again, because this is impacting our, income and everything else. If you start planning ahead, you can look at the financial ways that you can start planning ahead. So financially, you can look at, how I'm gonna be able to take care of my family during this transition. If you have a spouse or someone that you share your finances with, then you can look at, okay, well, can we live off of one income and until, so start thinking about the positive. What can we do, right? Let's say you do want to go for that, that business, and you do want to look at how can I start my business? What do you have to scale back on in order to be able to afford to do that, right? Can I use some of the money that, I may be getting from my layoff? Can I, think about ways that you can be able to utilize the finances that you have in order to get to where you want to be, or you can look at how can I make more money in a different industry, right? So again, start planning ahead, if you have the time to plan ahead. So be able to plan ahead. So that's tip number 4, right? So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the takeaways. So I said I was going to say it again, and I'm going to say it again. The number 1 takeaway, if you take nothing else away from this talk tonight, I want you to know to stop living in fear of situations that hasn't happened yet. If I can say that's been one of the biggest relievers for me in life, one of the things that I have learned and I have started to train myself to do, it is so freeing. So if you take nothing else away from this talk, take that away. Don't fear or stress about anything that hasn't happened yet, because oftentimes it may not ever come to pass. It may not ever happen. And then to review the 4-step process. So in reviewing the 4-step process, right, you have 1, again, examine the facts, as we talked about early on. Examine the facts of what that looks like. You want to be able to pray and seek guidance on what you should do next. And you want to look at what are the possibilities that could work in my favor. And you want to start planning next steps in a positive way. So if you didn't get a chance to write those down earlier, go ahead and write those down now. Again, examine the facts, pray and seek guidance. What are the possibilities that could work in my favor? And start planning for the next steps in a positive way, in a positive and healthy way that's going to be healthy for you moving forward, right? And don't get me wrong. I mean, I understand that these 4 steps and these tools are not going to apply to every situation because, as I stated earlier, there may be some time-sensitive situations you may face or fears that you may face that you can't maybe go through this process because it's untimely. Let's say that they come to you right away and say, okay, you have a week and you have to leave or something like that, right? So you may not be able to truly take the time to assess all of these things. However, I will just tell you, if nothing else, do number 2, pray and seek guidance. And then number 1, examine the facts. So if nothing else, do those 2, because those 2 that you pretty much can try to do quickly, right? So if you can't do all 4, at least do those 2, depending on your specific situation. And understand, I just used a scenario about, being laid off of a job, right? Or being let go of a job. But if you look at the steps, they can be used in any situation, right? Pray and seek guidance for what you need to do. Examine the facts. Let's say if it's, someone saying that someone is sick, examine the facts, right? Find out everything you need to find out. Don't think, oh goodness, is this person going to die? right? So again, examine the facts, pray and seek guidance. What is the best possible outcome for that person, right? And if it isn't, then you can still start planning ahead, right? So again, these steps can apply to any situation that may be fearful or uncertain or unknown. Follow these steps, and I promise you, if you learn to follow these steps, it will make a difference. And I want to share a quote at the end. So this is my ending quote. So don't let the fear of what could happen make nothing happen. And this is pretty much what I've been talking about throughout the thing. And that's from Louis Armstrong, is that don't let the fear of what could happen make nothing happen, because a lot of times fear can paralyze you, and you will just stop in your tracks and you won't do absolutely anything. You'll just stop in your tracks and you'll just, you'll be paralyzed. You can't think straight. You just start, oh my gosh. And even the scenarios that we talked about earlier, the negative scenarios that you can think up, can impact you, right? Can paralyze you because you think, I don't know what else to do. So again, you're paralyzed by the negative thoughts, right? So this is something else I found, is fear has two meanings, right? So which one are you going to choose? Forget everything and run? Or are you going to choose face everything and rise? And I hope that you choose the latter and face everything and rise, and not fear everything and run, right? So the choice is yours. And so this is the end of the conversation. But again, I'd like to stay on to see if anybody have any questions, any comments, any support you may need in this area. I would love to hear from you. I can see your comments as they are coming in. Hi, Sherry. Thank you for joining. Angel, thank you for joining. Cousin Sharon, thank you for joining. Shay, Quinn, thank you guys for joining. Do anyone have any questions, any comments they want to share? I hope that this talk has been able to, the 4 points that I provided is able to help you to really shift from thinking about what we normally think about, and instead of, the negative. We always tend to go to the negative and we never go to the positive. What are the possibilities? What is the other perspective? We can't stay stuck in what we've always known. We definitely want to rise, and we want to face everything and rise. Hi, Dee Dee. Hey, Mom. Thank you for joining. So I thank you guys for being on here with me this evening. I'll still stick around and see if there's any comments, any questions. Feel free to ask them. If not, hey, Jaquan, thank you for joining. And if not any thoughts or anything, I would, again, feel free to reach out to me on any of my social media platforms. I would love to continue to support you in any way that I can. Again, Transformative Talks with Coach BJ is a platform where I am serving and serving alone. I have some things that is coming up. Continue to watch my social media platforms, because there's going to be some talks. I'm having some experts that are coming on with me in October and November to share their expertise in what they do. So I'm so happy that God is allowing me to expand this platform to be able to serve and to help you guys. Again, thank you so much for watching. And just today, I will let you know that I have changed all of my social media platforms to be alike. So my new platform is, my new username for my social media platform is I'm_Coach BJ. So if you type those into YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, that is going to be that's my social media name. So I changed it from my business name in order to match, because everybody know me as Coach BJ. People don't necessarily know my coaching practice as a source of hope. So I went ahead and switched it. So if you see I'm Coach BJ, know that that is me still. So thank you guys. I just hear comments. Face everything and rise, Demetria. So I love it. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. And I look forward to the first of this is the end. This is the third Thursday. So I will see you guys next month for the first Thursday in October at 7 o'clock, same time, same place. Have a good evening, guys. Thanks. Bye.